Philadelphia, baby, you're gonna love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Underground Sports Philadelphia, episode number 438. It's KB and Matt coming at you from Underground Studios. The Phils are hot. The boys are hitting. It's hitting season, and the Phillies also enjoy our social media captions, and Garrett Stubbs might be the best catcher in baseball. We'll get into that. We'll get into some Sixers news, and we have a fun announcement later on in the show for a future guest coming on in the next week or so. So stick around for that. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at UndergroundPHI, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.com/UndergroundSportsPHI. And, of course, if you're watching here on Twitch, it's twitch.tv/UndergroundSportsPHI. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. We are there, and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Helps more people find the show, get in on the conversation, and just brings more people together for the content we're putting out there. And, of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Hit the like button, click the bell icon so you don't miss any of your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows, and just help us continue to grow our reach on YouTube. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen: Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Summer is in full swing. You got to protect those eyes when you're at the beach, outside, or inside with the Blue Light Plus glasses that they have. And Matt, they recently just officially launched prescription lenses. Okay. Tomahawk RX is it's available now. Get your prescription Tomahawk Shades, and you can use our code USP at checkout for 25% off your entire order at TomahawkShades.com. That's TomahawkShades.com, promo code USP for 25% off your entire order. Kenwood Beer, which is the beer that I believe Garrett Stubbs is probably going to be drowning in tonight responsibly. Go to KenwoodBeer.com. Use that Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. What's going on, Matt?
Living the dream, you know?
Phillies are certainly living the dream. They win a series against the Marlins. They win 2 out of 3 against the Diamondbacks. They've won 11 out of 13. And some are saying the Phillies are back.
And they haven't moved an inch against the Braves. Which is frustrating, to say the least. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I believe I said last week that we would be sitting here this week lamenting a terrible Diamondback series and Marlins series. It was very close with the Marlins.
Yes.
The 2 wins we got were very uncharacteristic Phillies against the Marlins wins. In fact, they felt like very characteristic Phillies losses against the Marlins. I don't know if that's a wider sign of just the change and growth that this team has undergone in the last 2 weeks, but those, like, today felt like a game that slips away from the Phillies all the time. And we had that last night, obviously, with Knebel, who's now demoted. Probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 games too late for that. But good to see that there's some actual, like, accountability, and that we're not just gonna keep trying the same things. And bullpen is still a question mark that is clearly gonna have to be addressed at the trade deadline. But on the whole, yeah, 11 out of 13 is fantastic. The offense is, like, turned around in a way that you are happy with now. And I think this team's in a much better position. And, yeah, without JT today.
Or, you know, pretty much without JT, like, the entire month of June.
Mr. Leave man on base.
I think it's hilarious that we've been talking about that for
since he signed.
Years.
Literally from his first season.
And now people are just coming around to the fact that he leaves guys on base.
Like the worst player on the team at leaving man on base.
It was like one of our major talking points with our year in review last year.
There was a game early on that I think he left like 11 men on base in a game. Like, and I was like, this is just insane.
It's
like,
insane.
I think he left 6 on the other day. It's a problem.
That's why when he was up in the 9th inning, I was like, please just walk him.
Right. At least he made it. I mean, listen, got to play, right? Like he made the win in some
Yes.
way. Yeah, resting him I think is going to be
Pivotal.
perhaps a little more important. And now that we have, I mean, Knapp wasn't awful either last season. At least he wasn't the worst.
I do think Garrett Stubbs is a better game caller than Andrew Knapp, though.
Right. I think there are some areas of weakness that he's not as weak.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if he's gonna play like that, get that boy up a little bit more often. I think JT needs to be managed a little.
Yeah.
A little.
The amount
better
of just tread he's had on his knees from catching over the last 2.5 years.
Committed money to him, and we know generally catchers past age 30 is just not great. So let's maybe handle that investment a little more responsibly, because you have signed some years and some money away to him. Let's protect him a little bit, and
It's clear he needs it.
right. Listen, JT, this is just time off for you. You know, like it's
like, we know you're one of those guys that is like, no, I want to play every day. You need some time off.
right. Just listen to what we're saying.
Plus, I mean, when you got somebody like Logan O'Hoppe down in the minors, absolutely raking right now, it's tough. But to everybody who's watching on Twitch and who will be watching on YouTube, this is for all the Rhys Hoskins doubters, haters, slanderers. Big old fuck you. Because, my God, the amount of times I've seen this year, and I love him to death. David Esser does a great job talking about the Phillies and writing about them and everything. The amount of times I've seen my man talk about it's time to have the Rhys Hoskins conversation, or just multiple people where it's like, oh, we should trade Rhys or this,
Now
that,
JT. Now JT's.
now JT is getting it.
Now JT's in the crosshairs.
But my God, like, we all know we've talked about this too. Like, we know Rhys Hoskins is a streaky hitter, but when he's hot, he can carry a team for 2 weeks, and that's exactly what he's doing right now.
From, again, like your, I don't know, 5th, 6th best player, like hitter. It's just that's a good spot to find yourself in with him. And it's weird too, because the Phillies have obviously for a while now have been so like hamstrung too, because obviously Bryce is just DH for the rest of the season. So that is like the big selling point for the Phillies coming into the season was that, well, they can platoon in so many different ways. You get the DH now, and it's like, well, actually, nah, it's just Bryce.
Yeah.
And that's sort of forced their hand in some ways to, and some unfortunate injuries like Gene Segura, right? Like, that's led to Stott getting more time, and you have Moniak playing a little bit more, but he got optioned recently and
Hit a home run last night.
right. But like I wonder if without some of these injuries, if you're even seeing some of that, on the fringes, guys getting more opportunities, which has given us some good moments and some wins this season. And we know how important development is too. Like it's good that these guys are playing a little bit more, and I think that's one thing you can definitely say Rob Thompson has done well. Is not that I think it's easier in hindsight to say Joe Girardi was awful with young talent. He wasn't the best at it. I don't think he's like Doc Rivers bad at it, but Rob Thompson, I think, has made a point to be more give an olive branch a little bit to the young guys, and I think they have a longer leash under him than they had under Girardi.
And I forget who wrote the article, if it was the Inquirer or the Athletic or something, but somebody talked to Mickey Moniak, and he basically said, like, Rob Thompson's style of communication, and he was like, this is no slight at Joe Girardi, everybody's different, but, like, it's a more open line of communication with him in the clubhouse, and everybody feels more comfortable. It's not as, like, standoffish, I guess you could say, which when you have a clubhouse full of young guys and then you have a clubhouse full of, veterans who are trying to win, communication is key.
Yeah, and it seemed like that was one of the failing points, at least in recent time with Girardi. And so maybe that's part of the reason too that you're obviously having this. It just fucking sucks that the Braves are on a 13-game win streak.
They're the worst.
Like, how do we have the last 2 weeks that we've had, and it's literally we've lost ground?
It's insane.
Only the Phillies could conjure that up.
And like the Mets are still beating the Mets,
cruising,
beating everybody. I saw today they put it on the broadcast. Can you guess what the Phillies' record is against the division before today's win?
Definitely below 500. I would guess, God, against the division, I think we've only won like 6 or 7 games.
7-15 before
Yeah.
the win today, which is the second worst in the division, only in front of the Nationals by 2 games.
Well, listen,
in the win column.
we're gonna be seeing those Nats, so let's have it out.
The Marlins record against the NL East 16-8 before today.
Maybe it's like a weird like when the Marlins are really bad, we can't beat them, but when the Marlins are good and like beating other teams in the division, like it's a weird balance that we have with them.
24
I'm glad we won a series against the Marlins, because that has not been something that we've done very often in recent history, and that
should have swept them.
Marlins series earlier in the year too was
embarrassing,
kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
So it was good to have some of that back. Should have swept them, but then in the same token, probably should have lost today and the day before. So I'll take the collapse is what it is. And honestly, it's something about the Phillies and bullpen collapses that just doesn't even hurt me anymore. Because it's like, I've seen this. I've seen this so many times already.
I need some famous store, restaurant, whatever it may be, in Philadelphia to make a Phillies jersey with the first, historically bad Phillies bullpen pitcher, and then just continue to add nameplates down the jersey like the Browns do with their quarterbacks. Because I think that list would rival.
You would run out very quickly of room. It might
just over the last 4 years.
It might have to be like a beach towel, something like that.
Might have to be a mural.
Yeah. I don't know that you really have the space for all the guys who have let us down over the years. Even just this season, I mean, I think you're out of space already.
James Norwood is gone.
Right, but he's on the list.
He's definitely on the list.
Familia and Knievel are both on the list. Brian Hand's on the list.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough. Tough out there.
And oddly
not
enough,
our boy, though.
Brad Hand has been the best of the 3.
Not our boy. It's Randy Dominguez.
Make him the closer. Connor Brogdon.
It's tough, though.
They're looking good. Man, I sent it to you last night from the absolutely hammered Twitter. They tweeted the Jimmy Butler meme, but it was Hector Neris' face.
I miss Hector Neris, dude.
I still can't believe they just let him walk and sign fucking Jerry's Familia.
It's tough because, I mean, you could have had him at a reasonable price. Too.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It was basically the Astros are paying Hector Neris what you're paying Brad Hand, Jerry's Familia, and Corey Knievel combined.
It's tough. Knievel's, that's a tough one.
That's been... he wouldn't say it's been a tough month, though, man.
Like, the being the marquee bullpen signing of the offseason for the Phillies is like being the defense against the dark arts teacher in Harry Potter. It is a kiss of death. Like, you are not...
You're done.
Your career's going to take a bump after this, and you are going to be out of a job in a year. Like, I hope you have your library card, because, like, you're going to be at home reading a lot. Like, you're going to have a lot of free time on your hands, because this is not going to be productive for you in any way.
I did see, because obviously the Phillies are going to have to make a move for the bullpen at the trade deadline. Megan Montemurro, who used to cover the Phillies for The Athletic, now working in Chicago covering the Cubs, tweeted last night, because I think it was John Stoltness tweeted that there was nobody really available on the trade market bullpen-wise. And she was like, well, and tweeted a stat line. Can you guess which pitcher this is here that I'm going to pull up here? Because when I saw the stat line, it's pretty impressive. And it is an old friend of the Phillies bullpen.
Who is this? This is
pitching for the Chicago Cubs.
Name is escaping me.
He
Kyle Hendricks?
I'm pretty sure Garrett Stubbs has pitched more innings than him in a Phillies uniform than this guy pitched in a Phillies uniform.
That's not helping me.
Good old David Robertson.
Jesus Christ. I had no idea he was on
Neither did I until last night. Can you guess what his ERA is this year?
I mean, I guess it's something really stupid. He has like a 1.2.
Pretty damn close. A 1.59 ERA in 20 games.
That's so fucking mean.
32 strikeouts, a .97 whip,
Good for Dave.
22 and 2/3 innings.
You're welcome, Chicago. Why don't you lease him back?
I could
so
not believe
stupid.
my eyes.
We rehabbed that man for 2 years. Paid him a lot of money for this. That's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating. But like you said, we got the Nationals for 5 now. First time all year seeing the Nationals. The fact that it is going to be June 16th, and that is the first time the Phillies face the Nationals in 2022 is ridiculous.
Getting nervous about this series now because like the Diamondbacks and the Marlins went so smooth, and now it's like we should really probably be sweeping the Nationals, but realistically winning 4-5 against them. I think this is the cynic Philly fan in me getting a little worried about that.
Zach Wheeler versus Patrick Corbin tomorrow.
The sliding doors game, as it were.
And then
That is the not even an X really, but like, it's like we like openly knew that that's who we could have been married to.
yeah.
And instead we got this situation, which is a lot better.
Yes.
I'd much rather be paying Zach Wheeler than Patrick Corbin right now.
Nola will pitch on Saturday. Eflin will pitch on Sunday. And I don't know what is going to happen during the Friday doubleheader, because I don't know about you, and I am a big fan of Ranger Suarez. You can't continue to throw him out there if he's going to pitch the way he has.
It's been a little it's been a soul-searching year for him so far, I would say.
He's not finding his spots. His velocity is a little down. He's not striking guys out like he was last year when he was being this, prominent figure in the rotation. I don't know how much longer you can continue to, just throw him out there for 3 to 4 innings and then rely on a bullpen that is completely in shambles for the most part. And just waste your bullpen every 5th day.
Yeah, that's the struggle too. Is like I think the bullpen is the key there, because this isn't a bullpen that is strong and dependable. So anytime you're having to really lean on them consistently, it gives no respite to everyone else. Not even just like pitching staff, but everyone else in the team, where it's like you have this awareness now that you have to be perfect in so many other ways because there's such a weakness in one area that you have to overcompensate. And I think that's an issue for the Phillies right now too, is Ranger not really finding his form. I think it was a little hard to believe that like second half of the season Ranger Suarez was like, that's who Ranger Suarez was going to be. If he continued like that, he's a Cy Young candidate.
Yes.
And I just, I mean, things can happen. I think that would have been really surprising. And I think it's been spotty at times this year, which I don't think is surprising either, though.
No.
Like, for your 5th starter, it kind of is what it is. You obviously would love for him to be better and more consistent, but he was a question mark coming into this year. It's not like this is surprising, and the Phillies knew that too. So maybe as the season goes on, maybe he's the second half of the season pitcher. That'd be great for us, but
Be fantastic.
do need to see a little more out of him. The good news for him, though, is that there's really no one to replace him. Like, it's not like really has to be looking over his shoulder in any way.
Because most of the guys that are performing down on the farm are going to probably work their way into this bullpen at some point. At least you would hope. Most notably, former number 1 overall pick Mark Appel has been ridiculous down in Lehigh Valley, starting and relieving. So don't know why he hasn't been called up just yet, because they could certainly use him. But when we're sitting here next Wednesday, Matt, there's a 4:05 start against the Texas Rangers, so 8 games will be in the books. How many of those 8 games are the Phillies going to win?
0. No, I think they win at least 5.
Yeah.
And that's, to me, is like bare minimum. Again, I think 4-5 against the Nationals is really what the aim should be. at least. I think it's hard to sweep a 5-game series, even against some of the worst teams. Rangers haven't been great this year either, though.
Yeah, they've been very disappointing.
So,
especially after all the money they threw at so many guys.
But still a team on any given day can certainly. But I think you have to kind of believe that the Phillies that we've seen the last 2 weeks is a little bit more like the team that we're going to see going forward. So I don't want to base too much of what I feel about them based off of like past transgressions and hurt. But I also can't escape that from my mind. So I would be really happy with like 6 out of 8. I think that again, that is a good run to be on, because that says to me again, you really took care of business against the Nationals, and you've started off well against the Rangers. That's a good place to find yourself at. Because
after that Rangers series, you have 4 in San Diego, and then you get 3 at home against the Braves. And this is the Braves schedule coming up. They are currently playing the Nationals right now. They have an off day Thursday, so you have a chance to make up, a game there. 3 in Chicago against the Cubs, 4 at home against San Francisco, and then 3 at home against the Dodgers. Some tough teams on the horizon for the Braves. Could be interesting going into that series in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting when they're on a 20-game win streak. So that's the way it's going to go, isn't it?
I just don't know how they keep winning.
Why is our division so stupid? Why are we this way?
It is. I feel like it's the only division that's this way too. Like every other division, it's maybe 1 or 2 teams, but then it's just this clusterfuck of 3 to 4 teams in the NL East that are just worrying about games back and all this type of stuff in June.
Yeah, we're unique in that way, in that I don't know how many other divisions you're going to realistically look at a team that's 9 games back and be like, well, they could still win the division.
Yeah.
I don't really believe that the Phillies would do that, but I think someone from the outside could look at the situation and be like, yeah, maybe. It's not inconceivable. What was it, 7 games back in 17?
Yeah, 17 to play.
Yeah, so anything can happen when you talk about the NL. I was just looking at this. The NL Central, the Brewers are 1-9 in the last 10. The Pirates 1-9 in the last 10. The Cubs 1-9 in their last 10. Cincinnati Reds making up ground, Only 13.5 games back. We believe.
That's crazy.
Good for the Cards, huh? Good for them. NL West, of course, is a bloodbath.
Always.
Absolutely stupid. AL East, bloodbath.
The Yankees have only lost 16 games all year.
Yeah, 45-16. Absolutely mashing. Absolutely mashing it.
Do have an update on the Major League Baseball Fantasy Football League.
Uh-oh.
Mike Trout was mic'd up for one of the Angels games recently, and he said, we're going to have to find a new commissioner.
Wow. A power change. That's... You know what? Democracy speaks.
He also predicted the Eagles to win the Super Bowl this year because
that's
what he does.
Thank you, Mike Trout.
Did you see what Joe Madden, the story about him, too?
No.
He shaved his head into a mohawk when the Angels had lost 12 in a row, and that was the day he was fired, so the team didn't even see the mohawk.
Boy, that's tough.
NL East run differential is looking the most green it has since we've tracked this.
There's a giant red stain at the bottom. But yeah, outside of that, looking pretty good.
You guys can go to playpickup.com and start playing the NL East run differential game with us and all the hottest headlines in sports at playpickup.com. They just partnered with the Chicago Sky in the WNBA as their official fan engagement partner. The Mets at +70, the Braves at +38, Phillies at +29, Marlins at +22, and then the Nationals at -96.
It's tough to be at -96.
It's not even the worst in baseball either.
No, the Pirates are at -103.
And that is the worst mark.
Yeah. Royals at -94.
The fact that the Pirates are at -103 and are still in 3rd place in the NL Central is mind-blowing.
The NL Central's always kind of like that, though.
There's
There's
so
2,
strange.
I think in my entire life, it's always 2 pretty good teams, and then everyone else is awful.
Except for that, one brief moment in time when like the Pirates had like McCutchen and everything, and it was like the Pirates, the Cardinals, the Cubs were all like on the come up. The Brewers were like hanging around, and then it was like 2010 to 2014. Like every team in the NL
There was
Central
a good
was
Reds team in there too, wasn't there?
The one that Roy Halladay hit.
But outside of that division is just a plague.
Garbage.
A plague on baseball, I would say.
Then
actually, what's worse? Is the AL or NL Central worse?
Man,
the
last decade, I'd say the AL, but it's tough because you've had a World Series win in that time.
2 in the NL, right? Cardinals and
Cardinals, Cubs.
Yeah.
The Royals won in the AL Central this past decade.
But no one else.
The Guardians
got
there against the Cubs. Did
Classic.
the Royals go to 2 in a row?
Because
they won in 15.
I don't believe they made it back. Because 16 was Cubs,
right,
and Guardians. I don't think so. I think 2014 was God. Wasn't that Red Sox? Wasn't 2014 Red Sox?
Let's see. They did go in 2014.
So was Red Sox 2013?
Red Sox was 2013 that they won. Who did they play in 2014? Because I remember it was like that core. It was like Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer, Lorenzo
Giants.
Cain. The Giants, that's right.
Stupid. Absolutely stupid.
It's the one even year.
This is the 110th edition of the World Series, Kyle. Isn't that cool?
Interesting.
Who cares?
And then they won in 2015 when they beat the New York Cicadas. Which I was absolutely sweating.
Yeah, shut up. We'll see what the Mets are up to this year. We'll see.
I saw a tweet too from Jason Stark, which he always tweets out the best like historical stats and everything. The Phillies have had 2 walk-off home runs this year, both by their number 9 hitters. Garrett Stubbs today, being Wednesday, and then Bryson Stott on June 5th. The last starting number 9 hitter to hit a walk-off home run for the Phillies before this is going to go in the all-time old-school baseball player name list first. Chick Frazier.
Chick Frazier?
Who was the pitcher. Can you guess when he hit that home run?
Chick Frazier hit a home run to win the game.
As a pitcher.
In 1962.
Man, we're talking June 16th, 1903.
1903? They didn't have stats back then. Come on. Those boys were not reading and writing.
At all.
That was not high literacy days. I refuse to believe there was actual stat taking being done there.
Well, Matt, that's when they started recording strikeouts as Ks because it was easier to read. Also, going into today's game.
1903. I mean, Jesus Christ. That man...
The Cubs hadn't even won their World Series
just got laying railroad for like 18 hours. And it was like, I'm going to go not see my wife and 13 children, 4 of which are actively dying. I'm going to go hit some dingers in the park with my friends. I get absolutely wasted.
I wonder how he pitched that day.
Off of someone's backyard whiskey make and stale bread. That's what the life of a person in 1903 was like. Abandoning my family to play baseball and get hammered in the park off of moonshine and eat stale bread. It's a different types of athletes back then.
Charles Carlton Frazier, a.k.a. Chick. He was born in 1873.
Reconstruction years, baby.
Hey, he'd be a pretty good 5th starter for the Phillies right now. 3.67 ERA.
Jeez.
Let's see, 1903. He went 12-17 with a 4.50 ERA in 31 games. Hey, he was raking in 1903.
How many were they counting home runs then?
Wasn't an official stat.
Jesus.
Unreal.
I just can't imagine 1903 athletics. It's just hard. It's hard for me to put that together and like
at all.
Because it's not even the same sport. Like not even close.
It's nuts.
I mean, just forget even just
he
the
hit
rules.
5 home runs that year. He was probably in the home run derby as a pitcher.
Probably.
He was the Madison Bumgarner of his time.
There we go. He was just
Chick
like
Frazier.
110 years too early.
Going into today's game, obviously the Phillies allowing runs in the 9th inning last night. Since the start of the 2020 season, the Phillies have allowed 138 runs in the 9th inning, which is the most in baseball. And the Reds are second with 121 runs allowed.
Sounds like a good time. That's what it sounds like to me. Sounds like you get your money's worth if you go to a Phillies game or watch it.
They just love the walk-off.
Yeah. They like to make it dramatic.
Phillies also love our social media captions. We tweeted at them, "Stop Boy Summer," and they were like, "Now that is a good one." So I need Bryson Stott to hit a home run relatively soon so that the Phillies credit us with using our caption.
Stop Boy Summer is good.
Might have to revive the merch and just throw it on a shirt soon. But yeah, hopefully the Phillies keep raking, destroy the Nationals at Citizens Bank Park South this weekend, because to be 8-15 against the division, but you're 24-16 against everybody else is a tough look. Over 500 though in June for the first time in I don't know how long.
I think that has to go back to like 2011.
Like,
There's just no way. Like,
can't even remember the last time.
This is normally when you're kind of spiraling, and this is when normally the trade deadline would be like, well, we just get to the trade deadline, and you never know if we could make a move there, and now it's like actually trade deadline is an actual importance of us, whereas in years past it was like that was the Narcan that was bringing us back from the brink.
Yes.
This year it's more like a wellness visit, like we're more responsible.
I was checking in on it too, because you and I were both kind of disappointed last year when we traded Spencer Howard away. I mean, the fact that we have Cy Young candidate Kyle Gibson doing what he's doing this year. Spencer Howard hasn't pitched since late April for the Rangers and has an over 12 ERA in his appearances this year. Maybe Dombrowski was right.
Maybe the guy who couldn't last more than 2 1/3 inning was not cut out.
Not the guy. Also, I mean, talking about Garrett Stubbs, that was a pre-lockout trade because the Astros couldn't fit him on the 40-man roster.
You love to see it.
Absolutely love it. Somebody who might not fit on the Sixers coaching staff roster next year, Sam Cassell. Congrats to the Utah Jazz. You are the 2023 Western Conference champions.
No, see, what's going to happen is we're going to ship Doc Rivers. This is like where it's like you're going to get the Wish.com experience where this is what you thought you got, but we're just going to send you Doc Rivers like hog-tied across the country. Like true Pony Express fashion, just like hook him up to a carriage and just send him off. I don't know that he'll leave, Sam Cassell, but I tell you what, Sixers are really good at developing coaches and letting them just give them a good wave out the door. Like, all right, we're gonna go make terrible decisions for our head coaches. You go hang out. You go have a trip to the finals. You deserve it. So, be a bummer to lose him.
I feel like he's been, we've said this about a bunch of guys, but I feel like Sam Cassell, when he came here, it was one of those things that was like, wow, like this is like a really good coach to have on the coaching staff for this team. And it seems like every player has enjoyed having him here. And like you said, it would be a bummer if he ended up leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an important offseason for the Sixers. We got the draft coming up next week. We got the list.
We got the list.
We got the list of
Vecna Mode complete.
Yeah, Vecna Mode complete. Okay, so here we go. It's preemptive NBA Draft 2022 list of the Sixers guys. And part of this was I read a lot of pieces on mock drafts about what some Sixers-centric writers have selected and some rumors. Sixers are kind of tight-lipped this year. In years past, this has been an easier game to play, like Matisse Thybulle and Isaiah Joe, who we publicly courted and all but said directly into the camera we would be drafting.
Well, they're actually practicing what they're going to do for Doc Rivers. They hogtied Elton Brand into the broom closet.
Yeah. Well, it's like in Game of Thrones when they would like tell different people different things to find out who the rat was. Okay, so Marjan Beauchamp and Tari Eason are the names that I think you've heard the most going to the Sixers.
Tari Eason's name a lot.
Tari Eason is a very popular pick to the Sixers. The problem with Tari Eason is he's a very popular pick starting at like 13 all the way to like 25. He is one of those guys that has close of the talent to be like a potential like late lottery pick. There are some concerns. Like part of the reason that he's fallen into a lot of mock drafts to the Sixers is that some teams haven't totally loved his workouts when they've actually got in to talk with him. He doesn't have the greatest offensive production. Every player that comes to you at 23, for the most part, unless they're blessed by the Lord and Savior themselves, like Tyrese Maxey, is going to have like some weaknesses. They're not going to be like the perfect prospect. And Tari definitely fits that mold. There are some offensive concerns and some shooting concerns. The handle isn't amazing, but he's a great defender, great rebounder. This is a guy, too, that I think, similar to Thybulle, like you can see defensively him translating pretty much immediately to the NBA and finding his way in a good sense. And Beauchamp is very much the same way, except he's a little more lanky. Whereas Tari is like big, like he's a big dude. Beauchamp is a little bit more, I guess, modern in the sense that like he can kind of fit like 2 through 4 very seamlessly, and he has that good agility, great defensive prospect in that respect. Long player. But again, offensively, definitely struggled. He was at the G League this year. He was with the Ignite team, which has a few other, like first-round prospects, but shot very poorly from the three-point line, and that's obviously a concern. As a shooter himself, he's not terrible, but there wasn't good production, and he's kind of had a weird past too, which gets him a knock in a lot of grades. He went from like JUCO straight to the G League, so not like a super traditional route, but he played well enough in the G League that a lot of the things that he's good at. Again, great defensive player, and that looks like it could translate well, and just has a good feel for the game. So I am looking forward to seeing him in the league and how he develops. Whether or not this with the Sixers, who knows? EJ Liddell, this will be a name I think a lot of people are familiar with because he's a star at Ohio State. Really solid player, another big boy, but does kind of everything well. He's an older player, he's a junior, so that the ceiling is perhaps a little limited with him, but Sixers, it can kind of go either way on what exactly they're looking for with this pick. I think EJ Liddell, if he falls to you and there's no one else you really love, would be a good choice. Like he, again, not really huge weaknesses in any one area, and I think could come in and be a valuable role for you. There's the other guy, Jalen Williams, coming out of Santa Clara, who's kind of again, similar to Liddell. He's an older player, but I think someone that you could almost see a little bit more development out of. Kind of has that like prototypical, like two-way skills, two-way talents. Really interesting player. So those are 4 names that I think, if they're there at 23, you consider any one of them. There are some guards, but I don't know if that's the direction the Sixers are really going in. They've been linked a lot with Kennedy Chandler from Tennessee. Dalen Terry's another name that has been like kicked around a little bit. And we'll just have to see, how that develops. But it's tough to see who's going to fall. This feels like a draft because a lot of people want to move as well, is the other thing. And that's the kind of the second part of the draft conversation with the Sixers is they're not the only team that wants to trade. The Mavs are interested in trading. There's a few other teams in the 20s who are interested in trading. And so the Sixers pretty much have 2 paths here. someone they really like falls to them at 23, and that's happened the last 2 drafts where Maxey falls, Jaden Springer falls to them, and they're like, yes. Or there's a prospect like one we just named that maybe doesn't have that, like, oh my God, lottery talent ceiling necessarily, but is still, a good fit and what they're looking for, et cetera, et cetera. Or you package 23 plus a player or players to get an established star. I shouldn't have said star because you're not getting a star for that. You get an established player that's going to fill a need. Some people have like trade machined Will Barton potentially to the Sixers using that type of method. I haven't seen any of those trades. It's been like, that's the one, or that, I think really, really benefits us. Some of those can be good. And, you have to admit too that Sixers have done very well. I think should be commended in that, even as it stands, only having hit on Thibault and Maxey as part of this team, that's even just getting 2 players out of your last like 4 or 5 drafts, picking in the 20s is really uncommon, that they can give you any minutes, let alone one is a starter and one is, a valuable rotation player for you right now. That is just not common at all. So the Sixers have done relatively well, and by all accounts, Jaden Springer next year, could be involved in a much more, big way than he was this past season. So Sixers, for these late picks, have actually done kind of well for themselves. So I'm pretty confident that if there is a person that they like and they pick them, even if it isn't one of those names that I threw out there, that they're confident in their guy. Like they have made smart choices, I would say, in the draft. There's also the possibility too that they pick, that they pay for a 2nd-round pick if they really like someone there, because again, that's been fruitful for them. You're seeing some guys on the fringes like B-Ball Paul that we can expect to have a bigger role next season. So yeah, it's either obviously picking or trading it is the big question, and I don't know that they, what the packages out there look like. I think it doesn't help that there are other teams that are also trying to move. That could present some complications. And there's a lot of teams too that are in the similar tier to the Sixers where they're essentially trying to get the same caliber of player that the Sixers are. And that's kind of a struggle for them. So I don't really know if the trade market is going to materialize in the way that people necessarily project it to, but we've seen on draft night that lots of craziness can happen. That again, you can see a lottery talent drop. If you get to 23, even if it gets like 20 and there's someone you really love, like that you really believe in, maybe pull the trigger on it. Who knows? That feels like a more old Sixers way. That doesn't really feel like Morey's way necessarily, but I am very intrigued to see what direction they head.
And apparently, according to our good pal Keith Pompey, the Sixers are looking into trade interest, engaging that trade interest on Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, Danny Green, and the number 23 pick.
Yeah, there's any combination.
Anybody not named Maxey.
Yeah, any combination of those names could be packaged on draft night. It's just hard to see. Again, Danny Green has to be included in some of those deals simply for salary purposes, but we obviously don't know what his outlook is like next season. He's thinking maybe February, March return. You have to keep in mind that that's nearly the end of the season, depending on where he ends up. It's tough. It's a tough situation for that. And Matisse too, like obviously Matisse has shown in the playoffs to not be really a valuable rotation piece, but does help you a lot in the regular season. It's tough because you have to plan for both phases. And you have to find someone who's a clear upgrade on him in the playoffs and is still going to be able to obviously contribute to the regular season, because that is important, especially in the East. That is not going to get any easier next year. You getting a good seed is a good pathway to finding yourself in the later stations of the playoffs. So, I think it's a weird balancing act that the Sixers have to hit this year, where they have to be thinking about winning this upcoming season, and this goes for free agency too, not just the draft, but it starts with your draft night decisions. You have to be thinking about winning a championship this year. You really do have to be thinking about what is this team like in 3 or 4 seasons. I know that that's not like always popular to have like a long view, and there's nothing wrong, I think, when you have Harden and Embiid in their, especially Embiid in this prime, to be thinking winning right now, but you do have to be thinking of like long-term what might be the best solution here? Because again, too, the Sixers aren't going to have draft capital over the next few years. Like, this is really kind of one of your last opportunities to, of course you can make other trades and things like that, but as it stands, this is really one of your last chances to get someone on a good team-friendly contract for multiple years, which can, you're seeing it with Maxey, right? Like, not everyone, Maxey is very much the exception, but, you're seeing the value in, if you can find, again, a Matisse Thybulle, right, type of player that is a valuable rotation piece on a very good, like, rookie contract. That's a huge, huge value to your team.
And even Shake Milton, who they are picking up his $2 million option.
Is getting, like, vet minimum money, and is like, yeah, that's, you're not really going to go out and find vet minimum point guards that can, are really significantly better than Shake Milton, like, that is a good player to have for that price.
And people forget Shake Milton was battling that back injury, like, all of last season. So,
and he's still, like, relatively young too.
Yeah.
Shake Milton kind of is what he is at this point, but he's also not, like, 31.
Yeah,
like,
and he's not terrible.
Right. Shake Milton is a very, very fine, like, rotation player.
Have you seen the love fest that Chad Ochocinco Johnson has had with the city of Philadelphia lately?
I have. I don't know where that's come from exactly, but fair enough.
He's apparently helping train a Philadelphia boxer who has a fight coming up. But he's going to be living in Philadelphia for the next few months and has just fully gone to Bryce Harper pandering school and was at the Phillies game the other night. He's trying to find out how to get to Eagles mini camp to go work out with the Eagles, and Chad Johnson just loves Philadelphia now.
Yeah, respect.
And then before our little big announcement, apparently the Flyers have offered their head coaching position to John Tortorella.
Why even have a team?
Right. I said, as if the Flyers weren't already dead to me.
Why even have a team?
It just continues to blow my mind how just, like, tone deaf this team is.
And bad at all of it.
Yeah.
Good for them.
I don't even, like, I was trying to look it up last night because, like, I know, like, he's a giant prick, but what is the big issue with Tortorella that, like, really blew up and why people hate him?
He was connected to some controversy. I don't remember. There's something. I don't remember what I feel like there was some flashpoint that I think really soured people on Tortorella. I don't remember what it was though. I think it was like I don't remember what happened, but I remember people.
That's great. NBC Sports. The 6 times John Tortorella was the worst.
He's always been kind of a,
pretentious, like,
he's been like
dickhead.
A contentious person, I would say, and like a little bit happy to stick the knife in. I feel like I remember there being like a player incident that he was like, like someone came out and said like he was just an absolute nightmare. I don't know.
There was the national anthem thing in 2016 with the U.S. men's team.
It might have been close to it.
God. Stupid team. At least the Union are back this weekend.
Union are back this weekend. And we find out tomorrow if Philadelphia is one of the host cities for the World Cup. I have to imagine that they are.
I would be shocked.
I would be very surprised if they don't make the it's a great location.
It's the celebration year.
Yeah, like Philly's like bucking very hard to get
everything,
as many events as possible. Yeah, I mean it's gonna be crazy because the baseball All-Star game is supposed to be in Philadelphia that year as well. Like be around, you'd have theoretically like a World Cup is starting, June. You'd have like a solid month of like pretty cool stuff going on in Philly sports wise.
There's like some rumors World Cup that games like the NBA and NHL All-Star games are trying to be in Philadelphia, and then Jeffrey Lurie's trying to do something with either another outdoor Super Bowl or whatever the Pro Bowl ends up being by that time.
The dodgeball tournament. So I'm excited to see the World Cup tomorrow and see see where we're gonna have to drive to. Start making some plans already. Happy to have the union back. Yeah, MLS by the way got a deal with Apple TV
huge.
Plus for 10 years. No blackouts apparently, which is really nice.
Yes.
I mean, it's nice already because the union stream, as long as it's not a nationally televised game, you don't have to worry about blackouts. As long as you're in the watching area. But
it's like $250 million a year or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's not terrible. I'll just say that it sucks from like a fan perspective because it's another streaming service that you have to add on. But I do like the no blackouts. I think if like you are gonna have these like bundles of sports things, there should be no blackouts. You shouldn't be asking people to pay whatever. I think my concern too is the wording makes it seem like it's not necessarily included with an Apple TV subscription, that there's an additional subscription that you have to get. I haven't really been able to find clarity on that though, exactly. Whether or not it's just having Apple TV gets you this, or if it's Apple TV plus thing. But either way, interesting way. It just, like I said, it just kind of sucks for the fans because now it's another way you have to find. The one cool thing is though that if you're a season ticket holder, you're able to watch the games, I believe, for free. I think it's like included with your season ticket, so you don't have to like double dip, so to speak, to be able to watch them when they're away. But big. I mean, it's a big move. It's a big move for 10 years is like. That's a long time to be locked down to one spot. But it's good that the MLS is going to have stability in that sense too. I think the next 10 years are going to be really crucial, for how the MLS like develops as a league. So having some stability with the platform, I think, because you've bounced between like FS1 and ESPN now over the last few years, and I think it might do them some good to have just one. And they're so it's apparently going to be split. Wednesdays and Saturdays all being played, which is interesting. I'm not sure totally how I feel about that, but they want to have like a whip around show. They want to make it like Red Zone, which every soccer broadcast has tried to do that, and it just doesn't work as well because nothing works like that as well. Like it's hard to do.
And I think the people that are like complaining about it too, you got to look at the MLS and look at like the target demographic that they're trying to reach, because it says it in the press release too, that like the app can be found on iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple TV 4K, all the Samsung devices, PlayStation, Xbox, Chromecast. They want to try to hit that younger demo as well.
Yeah, I mean that's the like 18 to 34 is the demographic for this sport now.
Yes.
And it's, again, when people talk about it like catching up to the NHL, like that's the age group that you're talking about. So streaming services in that way are going to help, because that's just how most people that age interact with any media is, is through those types of platforms. It's just, again, it sucks that you're going to have to spend money now, because you already now, like, you have to, you have the Spanish League and German League are on ESPN Plus, and currently MLS is on that, but there are blackout restrictions. To watch Italy, to watch Serie A, you have to have Paramount Plus, and that's also where Champions League and Europa League is. So, Champions League especially, a lot of people want to watch that.
Right.
If you want to watch the Premier League, you really kind of need to have a cable subscription, or at least be able to get like NBC, which they moved off of, now it's USA. And probably like a Peacock subscription, because there's not as many games being on cable TV. You have to pay for that. That adds up, like like that just adds up already. And like BN Sports, if you want to watch the French league, that's usually an add-on. Normally that's not on your basic whatever. Like that's part of your sports package. You have to add that on. I mean, it's just.
Luckily, I found out on my Fire Stick I have Apple TV, and it was just like on there. That I like stumbled upon, and it was just like, yeah, you can watch whatever you want on here. I was like, well, this is a fantastic development.
I do think Apple TV comes if you get like a new Apple device, you get like a year free. So that's, kind of cool at least. Most people upgrade their phone like every year or two anyway. So maybe for some it just makes it simple for them, but that's just the way it goes.
Also, the union social media account, love how just like funny jabs they get in. They said, can't wait to see Ray Gaddis this weekend, and just tweeted the supporter shield pictures. Dom said YouTube TV has BN Sports.
YouTube TV though is pretty expensive for like the non-cable. Because I've thought about, I have Sling, and YouTube TV I think is like $70 or $80 a month, which is like I might as well just get cable. And get 200 channels, you know, rather than like the 80 that you get off YouTube TV. But it's tough. Not paying for cable is tough.
Yeah,
it's a tough scene.
The cool part about what cable's kind of like done to keep people now is they've included a lot of streaming services like in the package. So like here, like I have Netflix, HBO Max, and Peacock are all part of the cable package, which is nice.
Yeah, like for just by paying for my internet, I get a flex box that has Peacock on it. Like I get the premium Peacock subscription, which is nice, but it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Like it's such a nightmare now. Like you have there's like all these like tangential like streaming services too. It's like, do we need Discovery Plus? Do we need that? Do we need AMC Plus? I don't think we need all these. I don't think every single channel needs the Plus subscription model. I don't think we actually have to do that. I don't think I need True TV Plus. Not sure that that's necessary.
Yeah, and then it's like what's the new one that's like, it's a Food Network. It's got like Discovery Plus has like everything, and they changed their name again, and
it's what are we doing? What are we doing?
Unreal. For the real ones who are listening at this point in the show, we've got a guest coming up. Hopefully within the next week or so. We're working on just hammering out the schedule and everything. But Darryl Reynolds, former Villanova basketball player, and now on their coaching staff, went to Lower Merion as well. He's going to be coming on the show to talk about Hustle with us, the new Adam Sandler movie, which Jay Wright is in, and a whole bunch of Philadelphia 76ers connections. I rattled off the IMDb on the last episode, Matt. It's even more than what they showed in the trailer of Sixers connections to this movie. Tyrese Maxey is obviously in the movie. Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Allen Iverson's in the movie. Dr. J is in the movie. And the list of just superstar NBA players. Apparently, Anthony Edwards is like the villain character. Juancho Hernan Gomez, a.k.a. Bo Cruz, who is everybody's new favorite meme, saying that the Sixers win Game 7 with Bo Cruz instead of Ben Simmons. Queen Latifah, Kenny Smith, the whole TNT crew is in this movie. Kyle Lowry is in the movie. Dirk Nowitzki, Doc Rivers, Seth Curry, Jordan Clarkson, Trae Young, Aaron Gordon, Mark Jackson, Luka, Fat Joe, Emeka Okafor, Mark Cuban, Pat Croce, Mo Cheeks, and apparently there is a no spoilers. Apparently there's a dig at a certain former Sixers GM and his asshole of a dad.
Gonna have to put that one on the list now. Gonna have to hustle.
So we will have a full-blown Hustle review and have Darryl Reynolds on the show potentially next week. But that's why you guys got to follow us on the socials. We'll announce it there first to let you guys know when he's coming on and when we're doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff on this podcast. At Underground PHI on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me on Twitter at KBIZZL311. Dom just said he heard that Hustle was mid, but then he said, never mind, I take that back because Colangelo slander. Make sure you guys check out the website as well, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. Subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Check out the YouTube channel as well. Subscribe over there. Just search Underground Sports Philadelphia on YouTube. Click the like button, the bell icon, all that good stuff. And let's keep growing our presence on YouTube. Follow the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/undergroundsportsphi. You get to watch every Wednesday night show live as we record it. And big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen. Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. Go to tomahawkshades.com, use code USP at checkout for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com, including the new Tomahawk prescription lenses. Kenwood Beer, official beer of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker to see who's got Kenwood Beer on tap in the Philadelphia area. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And Bino Board, go to binoboard.com and use our code BINOUSP to get 10% off your order, Matt. They got carrying cases now in stock for the boards. The
Road
dad
trip.
hats are back in stock. And today, just back in stock, the Bino trucker hats now available at binoboard.com. So use our code BINOUSP to get 10% off your order from our pals over at Bino. This has been Underground Sports Philadelphia, episode number 438. Top Bins is going live over on our Facebook page in just a couple minutes, so go check that out with Matt and Dom. Till next week, we are getting the heck out of here. For my man Matt, I'm KB. We are signing off. Peace.